So by now you might realize that I don't do a lot of baking / dessert recipes, and that is because I don't have a huge sweet tooth. But today I'm gonna make something that I do tend to enjoy from time to time, and I really like to have digestives with my tea. I used to have it with coffee, but I don't drink coffee as much these days, so tea time, I really like to, munch on all digestives. And yes, of course, you could go to the supermarket and buy it, but where's the fun in that? Especially when you could make it at home, involve the kids, and have a nice little fun baking time. It's a real simple and easy recipe to do, so let me get into it one time. So as I said, this is a fairly simple recipe using basic ingredients, and I'm not gonna pretend like this is a recipe that I came up with myself. This is a recipe I'm following from Gemma's Boulder Baking. I'll post a link to her channel in the video description. But yeah, as I said, simple ingredients, so we're going in with a cup and 2/3 of whole wheat flour, 3/4 cups of powdered sugar or icing sugar, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking powder. And to kind of make this recipe my own, with my own little twist, I'll be adding some nutmeg and some tonka bean. A little Caribbean spice kind of vibe. So just grating in some fresh nutmeg. And I would say this would be like about 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/8 of a teaspoon of tonka bean. Of course, if you wanted to add cinnamon to this, you could as well. But, I like the flavors of nutmeg and tonka bean, so I'm using that. Just gonna combine the dry ingredients. Now I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of butter, cubed. And if you have a food processor, you could go ahead and use your food processor to combine this. But I'm gonna use my hands and rub the fat into the dry ingredients until it's the texture or the consistency of wet sand. So I just wanna make sure it's fully combined with the flour and the other dry ingredients. Again, use your food processor if you want, or if you have a box grater, you could grate in the butter. But for me, there's just more things to wash, so I'm just using my hands, and I'm going to make sure that it's fully combined. Okay, so this is the texture that you're looking for, that wet sand texture. And now to this, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of milk. And we're just going to bring this together to form our biscuit dough. So our dough has come together, our digestive biscuit dough. This is what we're looking for. So I think we're well on our way to some delicious biscuits. Smell all the spices in there, smelling real nice. So now we don't need to freeze this or anything or chill this. We could work with it one time. So on to the next step, which is rolling it out and getting it ready for the oven. Okay, so time to roll this out. So you're going to need a bit of parchment paper for this, because we're not going to flour the surface or anything like that. So we're going to use the parchment paper so that the dough does not stick to the rolling pin. So just going to rest the dough down on one sheet. Use the next sheet to cover it. And now we're going to use our rolling pin, and we're going to roll this out to about 1/4 inch thick. And we don't want this to be too thin, and we don't want it to be too thick. So I think 1/4 inch is a good thickness for a nice digestive biscuit. I think we have the desired thickness here. So this is the kind of thickness that I'm looking for compared to, I guess, my finger, which is not, any kind of accurate measurement. But I mean, we all know the thickness of a digestive biscuit. Not too thick, not too thin. It's not like, a rough tops that is just, like a big cookie or biscuit, and not thin like a Crix. It's somewhere in the middle, right? So we go in with that. So I'm just going to use my cookie cutter and I'm going to cut the biscuits out. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you could use like a glass to do this. And then I just use a knife. I know there's a special tool to do this, but I don't have it. So just using a knife here to remove each cookie or biscuit from the rest of the dough. And when we remove all of these, we're going to form the dough back into a block, roll it back out into the 1/4 inch thickness and cut more. None of this dough going to waste. Place the paper back on top. And we're just going to repeat this process until all the dough is used up. Alright, so now for the final step before we go into the oven, and that is to use a toothpick and poke these holes into the digestive that we know digestives are known to have. I wish I had one of those fancy molds. I could have put the word digestive across the face of the biscuit. I might have even, get the adjustable ones and do a little coming across. That would have looked real sick, but unfortunately, I don't have access to that. So you'll just have to make do with poking some holes with our toothpicks. I mean, I'm gonna try and get them as consistent as possible, but yeah. Wishful thinking. It's gonna be a little more random. And once I finish poking these holes into our digestive biscuits, I'm gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 18 to 20 minutes. Alright, so that is it. Our biscuits are ready for the oven, preheated at 350 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes. Alright, 20 minutes later and our digestives are out of the oven. For some strange reason, although all of them on the same rack for the same time, some of them come out a little darker than others. But that's okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna let these cool so that I don't burn the roof of my mouth when I tasting it. And then we're gonna go in for a taste and I'm gonna let you get my final thoughts on these digestive biscuits. And now it is that special time, tea time. As you know, put my little tea here to brew, to steep. And let's go in for a taste. As you can see, we have a nice color going on our digestive. It is a little crispy, it have a little bite to it. In terms of the snap, it have a little snap to it. Looking like a digestive. Let me see if it tastes like a digestive. It have that nice little saltiness to it from adding the salt. And again, a little slight sugar, not too sweet because you just use 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, and the spices again give it a nice flavor profile. Nice snap, nice little bite it. That whole wheat flour, give it a healthy-ish twist. Yeah, proper digestive. And you could easily take this to the next level by picking up a bar of local chocolate. I have the 72% dark here from ARC, which is the Alliance of Rural Communities. This is a nice spiced chocolate to have like traditional spices in it. So it'll give it a nice flavor profile. You melt this down, drizzle it over the top of one of these or a few of these, and you have yourself a nice local chocolate digestive. Real best thing to enjoy with your tea or with your coffee, as I say. A real nice snack. So yeah, if you like this recipe, please give it a thumbs up, give it a share. If you do try it and you add a little twist it, post your photos on social media, tag us, we'd love to see it. And as always, a link to the full recipe will be posted in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Mm-hmm.